If you have mesothelioma and you're feeling anxious or depressed, you are not alone. A 2024 study found that half of mesothelioma patients and their caregivers had clinical levels of anxiety. 1 in 3 had depressive symptoms, and 1 in 3 even showed signs of PTSD. It's a common and serious problem, and too many people suffer in silence. But there are solutions. Today, I'm going to share 5 science-backed ways that some patients with mesothelioma have eased their anxiety, depression, and stress. I'm Deborah from Surviving Mesothelioma, and for almost 20 years, we have helped over 18,000 mesothelioma patients understand their treatment options. We've also published the best-selling book, Surviving Mesothelioma, written by the world's longest-living mesothelioma survivor, and I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can get this book for free. Okay, so what is depression and anxiety? So I like to think of depression as feeling like you have no options, like there's nothing you can do to improve your situation. And anxiety feels like you're bracing for something to go wrong. Maybe you've got too many options and you're just scared to pick the wrong one, or maybe you're just worried about what's coming next. So how do patients improve these feelings? Let's start with number 1, low impact exercise. Physical activity may help reduce stress, calm anxiety, and improve overall mood for some patients. But don't worry, it doesn't mean running a marathon or lifting weights. A 2025 study in the medical journal JAMA Network Open looked at data from 1,929 cancer patients who were 60 or older, and it found that exercise was associated with reduced levels of depression and anxiety for those patients. And the best type of physical activity? Well, according to the research, it was mind-body exercises. So that includes low-impact activity like Tai Chi, yoga. So if your doctor says it's safe for you, you might consider looking into whether Tai Chi or yoga are offered in your area. Or you may ask your medical team for a mesothelioma-friendly exercise plan that works for your situation. And did you know that mind-body exercises were also part of Paul Kraus's approach to living with mesothelioma? Paul survived for 27 years after his diagnosis, making him the longest living mesothelioma survivor in the world. I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can get a free copy of his book. Okay. So exercise may help some patients with anxiety and depression, but what if thought patterns are part of the problem? That brings us to number 2, changing your brain's stress response. Okay, sometimes difficult emotions happen because of how the brain responds to stress. Your brain may dwell on bad news. It may focus on all the problems and the challenges that you are facing, and it might get stuck in these bad patterns. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is designed to help the brain break out of those patterns, and it helps retrain the brain so it has a better response to stress. And science shows it really does work for some patients. A 2024 review published in the journal General Hospital Psychiatry looked at data from over 1,500 patients with advanced cancer, and it found that CBT helped to reduce anxiety and depression compared to patients who did not get CBT. But here's the thing. The scientists said that CBT improved depression and anxiety, quote, to a moderate degree. So it helped, but it didn't completely eliminate those emotional challenges for most patients. They also found that CBT worked best when it lasted between 2 and 8 weeks. That means just doing one session may not be enough to get the full benefits. So CBT is not a perfect solution, but it could be one part of a psychological support strategy. Anyone considering it should ask their doctor for a referral to a licensed therapist, especially one who specializes in working with cancer patients. A support strategy may also include, number 3, joining a support group. Mesothelioma is a rare type of cancer, so it's easy for patients to feel like no one understands what they're going through. And that's why joining a support group with other cancer patients may help some patients deal with the stress and the emotions that may come with mesothelioma. And it is not just about having a place to talk things through. There's real science showing that support groups can be helpful for some people. A 2024 review in the Journal of Cancer Survivorship looked at 19 different studies on people who have a cancer that is treatable but has no cure, just like mesothelioma. And it found that for those patients, joining a support group tended to help with distress, depression, and just regaining a sense of control But these weren't just any support groups, okay? Those benefits came specifically from support groups that were led by healthcare professionals, like a psychologist, counselor, a social worker, or an oncology nurse. And most of the studies that they looked at were on tumor-specific support groups. Okay, so that means that everyone in the groups had the same kind of cancer. This suggests that patients with mesothelioma considering a support group should look for two things. First, and most importantly, making sure that the group is led by a licensed healthcare professional. And then second, it would ideally be a support group specifically for mesothelioma patients and not for patients with just any type of cancer. Okay, now let's move on to number 4, mindfulness practices. I know that probably sounds mystical and out there, but mindfulness doesn't mean burning incense and chanting. It's just a way to refocus your brain. It may involve breathing exercises, practices to help you feel more grounded, and awareness techniques. And yes, there's science to back this one too, like a 2022 review in the scientific journal PLOS One. It looked at 36 studies on mindfulness-based interventions for cancer patients. And after studying the data, the scientists said those mindfulness interventions were effective at reducing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and even fatigue. But to be clear, these studies were about mindfulness sessions led by licensed therapists. We don't know if patients will get the same benefit from doing self-guided mindfulness exercises. So anyone considering mindfulness practices should speak to their hospital's patient navigator. They can help find the right program or therapist. And finally, number 5, getting help to manage your physical symptoms. Sometimes the anxiety and the depression is psychological, and it comes from stress and the worries that you have, but other times it's the physical symptoms of mesothelioma that may be making it worse. Okay, a 2017 study in the journal Scientific Reports looked at 126 cancer patients, and the scientists split those patients into 2 groups. Group 1 were the patients who were experiencing cancer pain, and Group 2 were the patients with no cancer pain. And then they gave both groups some tests to measure depressive moods. And this was really surprising. Okay, the patients with no cancer pain, about 1 in 4 of them had depressive symptoms. But the patients who did have pain, about 2 in 4 had depressive symptoms. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it suggests the cancer pain and depression, those are closely connected. Patients in the study who experienced cancer pain were twice as likely to also struggle with depression. So this could mean that reducing cancer pain might help ease depressive feelings, or it could mean that treating depression might help with pain management. Either way, it's just how important it is to address both. So if you are experiencing pain or discomfort from mesothelioma, speak to your doctor about it. They might be able to help you better manage the pain with medication, medical procedures, or other strategies. All right, that's a lot of information. Okay, let's just take a moment to just recap. Anxiety, depression, and distress are common for people with mesothelioma, but studies show there are at least 5 things that may help some patients. So if I had mesothelioma and I was struggling with these difficult emotions, these are the 5 steps that I would take. All right, step 1, I'd ask my medical team what kind of physical exercise I could do safely, whether it's Tai Chi, yoga, or some other low impact activity. Step 2, I would ask for a referral to a therapist who specializes in cognitive behavioral therapy, especially one who has experience working with cancer patients. Step 3, I'd reach out to my hospital's patient navigator and I would ask if there were any support groups for patients with mesothelioma, and I would make sure that group was led by a licensed professional, like a counselor or a social worker. And then step 4, I would ask my patient navigator if there's any mindfulness programs in my area, especially again, if they're designed for cancer patients. And finally, step 5, if mesothelioma was causing me any pain or discomfort, I'm going to let my doctor know about it, because getting the pain under control may also help with depression or distress. Mesothelioma can be challenging, both physically and emotionally, but it is not something anyone should face alone, and there is help available. Some patients also find it helpful to learn from others who have been through it before, like Paul Kraus. Okay, when Paul was diagnosed with mesothelioma, he was given only months to live. But you know what? Paul was a fighter. He refused to give up. So he worked with his doctors to come up with an approach to help manage his mesothelioma. And that approach included alternative therapies, lifestyle changes, and mind-body practices like the ones we talked about earlier. And you know what? Paul went on to beat the odds. He lived for 27 years after his diagnosis. And luckily, he wrote down all of his strategies in this book, Surviving Mesothelioma. To get your free copy, click the link in the description below, fill out the form, and we will send you your free copy right away. Look, if you have mesothelioma and you live in the United States, we'll even cover the shipping. It is completely free of charge. Stay strong, keep fighting, and I'll see you in the next video.